Hi everybody, Brian Jones again. I'm here to tell you the short story about Rudy the Mastiff. I met him a few times over a period of about 2 weeks, and I would say that was about, give or take, 8 or 9 years ago. I used to live in North Seattle in the Green Lake district or area, and it was a period of time when for about I was setting my sights on 2 weeks to absolutely block out all of this of what I'm doing for a number of reasons. Like I said, I'm very driven to do it. I'm back to working on this stuff just about every day. Not the animal communication, really. That's kind of a little bit off to the side. Anyway, I'm not going to get on that too much, but I'll just finish that thought. I'm really just I'm gonna put the word out. I'm wanting to work with other people to document results, and so, but that's for later. I'll get back to that. So I'll focus in on Rudy the Mastiff, but I just wanted to emphasize because, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm always thinking in intense ways, so I pay attention to where I'm at, and it seems like yesterday, even though it was about 9 years ago. And I was on a side street. I had an old Ford parked a couple, 2-3 blocks from my house, kind of spreading them around. And I was walking down the side street, and I was in that state of mind. Literally, I was kind of reeling back from a lot of things I'd been through with this. Not necessarily the work itself, but the reactions I was getting from other people, knocking on doors, trying to collaborate, and all that. And I just kept thinking, if you knock on a door and the answer is no, or there's no answer, you go and knock on another one. I'm not really into sales or anything, but you have to be dedicated. So I pushed myself pretty hard, and that's where I was at. So I was like, I was already on my guard from myself, my always wanting to be hands-on with everything. So I'm walking down this side street. No one else is around. It's a quiet side street, and all of a sudden, I think I'm hearing an old man yelling, and it was an alarming yell, like "Help me!" That it was urgent. You could tell. And my initial thought was, "Wow, some old man's in a house here with the door open or the window," because I hear the voice booming, and thought, "Wow, they need help." And it's funny. I'm amused by this because of the state of mind I was in. I started walking faster, like I'm just going to keep going. I don't want any part of this. That was my initial thing. And I think that's kind of funny because that's not how I am, but it only lasted about 1 second, and then I was like, okay, wow, somebody needs my help. And I could tell which direction the voice was. It was kind of like, I think at that point, back over my shoulder to the left, maybe a house a couple doors up that I'd walked past a minute ago. I was maybe 4 lots down from there. And so I stopped and I turned around, I'm walking back up, and as I'm getting closer, I can tell it's what sounds like a big dog with a booming deep voice. And I go and I look, and I see a big old Mastiff on the front stoop, come like level with their front enclosed porch. There's stairs coming down, and he's on that stoop and he's looking at me, and the dog's head is twice as big as mine, and that's saying something. And he's looking right at me. And I could tell he was an older one because he had like tumor growths on his side, and I don't know if it was right then or the next few times I went there, he was having trouble getting around, so he was up, he was in kind of tired shape, but he's looking right at me with that big old head, not blinking, just staring me right in the eyes, and he's just like looking me right in the eyes with this just urgency, like, man, I gotta tell you something. And because I'd witnessed with animals for years, and I'd talk to them, I'd put the thoughts out there, I'm available to try to help you, try to communicate with you. But I told him, I said, look, man, because I made a promise to myself I was going to stay away from recording and the headphones for 2 weeks, just to prove to myself I could do it, and kind of feel like I had some control over the situation. And so I'd really given it a lot of thought. That's why I was in that defensive mode when I heard the voice and everything. boy, I better speed this up or this will be a half an hour. Anyway, okay, good, it is going. I thought maybe I didn't hit the record button. But, okay, so back to this. So I could tell this dog had something very serious on his mind. And I just said, I was calling him Bowser. I said, hey, Bowser, I can't do it right now. I will come back, I promise you. I'll come back in 2 weeks and I'll record you. And I had that car up there, and over the next 2 weeks, I walked by about 4 or 5 times, and every time, before I even got there, and I even paid attention to not making noise with my feet, just to see if that psychic radar, which I've seen with especially dogs, and probably other animals too, dogs are easier to read the body language, I think, and their actions are pretty bold. Yeah, it seemed like he had radar, like he knew when I was coming up the street, because I'd hear him start going, boom, he'd come out, and a couple times I witnessed him. He was on the enclosed porch, and they had a storm door on the opening, and the lower pane was out, and that's how he got in and out of that front porch. And every time for that 2 weeks, there was only about 4 or 5 times I went by, every time, seemed like he could tell I was coming before I came, and he was right back there with the same thing. Not as intense as the first time, I'd say maybe 50-60%, but steadily looking right at me looking at me like, you gotta hear me, you gotta hear me. And I kept saying, I'm gonna come back, just like I told Amigo. And so 2 weeks goes by, and I said, okay, it's time. I had the little Panasonic clipped right here on a t-shirt, and I went up there, and sure enough, he came out, and he was barking as usual, and I was getting it. But 60 seconds into the recording, a young man came out from behind the house to see what all the ruckus was about, and I clicked the thing off, because I don't record people without them knowing it. I mean, in some states, in Washington where I'm at, it's a no-no. I mean, so I shut it right off. I had a minute. I didn't say anything, but I did find out the dog's name was Rudy, and that he was 9 years old at the time. Didn't talk about it much. I downplayed it because there was another issue going on in the highway down below. They were rezoning it or whatever, and it was kind of disrupting the thing. So I just used that. I said, hey, I'm just saying hi to your dog, and then I talked with him about that, and I could tell by this guy, I could kind of read the man, like, there's no way in hell I'm telling him anything. I could just tell this is not a guy that wants to know that his dog may be able to communicate. I mean, I just knew it, and that probably was frustrating for Rudy. Anyway, I had the recording. I had a feeling it was going to be pretty intense. So I was busy, and I think I was a little apprehensive because I was still not sure where I was going to go with all the things that I was witnessing, and without another person to really talk about it in any serious way. So I think it was 2 days before I finally went down to the local park, Green Lake itself, and I'm walking there, and sure enough, I tune into, I'm hearing his voice, got about 60 seconds worth, and these 2 messages jumped out at me. The first one, which kind of fit, and when I heard it, I was like, okay, was, death is near, makes me tense. And the next one I heard was, bless you for talking. And those 2 things stick with me. I thought about it, and I was going to go back and talk to Rudy, and I mean, I'm not a death counselor by any means, but I think he just wanted to know that somebody knew that he could think. I think a lot of animals are not lucky enough to have people, and there are a lot of people that really value their animals and probably worship them more or less, for good reason probably. And anyway, I was going to go back and say, Rudy, I heard what you said, and from what I was just going to give him this one. From what I know, you're going to be darn glad you're there. It looks like you're in a really painful body right now. You're going to be at peace. And I was going to keep it pretty simple, but when I went back there, no more Bowser / Rudy. Never saw him again. I'm pretty sure, and I didn't go knock on the door, but I'm pretty darn sure they euthanized that dog, or he died. He looked like he probably would have lived for a while, but he hobbling around with those big tumors on his side. He was probably in a lot of pain, and a lot of people will opt to put their animal down. They hear that animal's terminally ill, they will end the life right there. And in some cases, it may be the best way to go. I'll leave that to other people to think about. That's not a fun decision at all. But that's where it went. And I heard someone say once, that animals are non-sentient. I have to look that word up again. It's been a while. But that they have no idea that they're going to die. Well, I disagree. And I think Rudy would also. Anyway, that's the story about Rudy. And I'll just finish by saying, I've had people come to me over the years and send me a short MP3 file, and I usually can get a message out of it. And a lot of people have felt really good about what they heard, like it really helped them. It unlocked something. So I'm making that offer to anybody. Get a hold of me at inventor2012@yahoo.com. And, you've got any ideas, or you have any ideas at all, talk to me about it. Because, like I said, if anybody really wanted to do this sort of thing, if you don't have, like, my mind's always racing, so the idea of slowing my mind down, I don't know, the more I know how important it is, the harder it is for me to do. But I think I've got it rougher than a lot of people because I was born that way. I mean, like, all night long, so I'm wired that way, and it doesn't seem to be going away. So maybe your way is the more traditional way of 11 minutes. Boy, this guy talks a lot. Anyway, maybe some of you are enjoying this, but I was just going to say, if you're somebody that has a lot of energy, or you just want to explore this, I really think that if you consider yourself somebody that doesn't have like a psychic sensitivity, let's cheat. I think I do. I used to pick up on people's thoughts when I was a kid. That wasn't real popular either. In fact, I'll save that for another video. How's that? But seriously, I'm willing to, talk with anybody about any idea they have. Now, if you want to get a hold of me, inventor2012@yahoo.com. Okay, I better shut up. Keep this thing under 15 minutes. Over and out. Thanks for watching and listening. And I'll figure out what the next short one is. Maybe even shorter than this. Bye. Forgot how to turn this thing off. Okay. Hey, by the way, this is not only a non-profit, it's non-professional. Over and out.